Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about how to select music inside of large ensembles. This is based off of my personal experiences and things I've learned along my journey as a large ensemble director, but also some ideas about doing this with your students. It's so valuable to bring them into the process. Now, what you're going to get here is there's a slide deck which you can download separately. There's also two different handouts that you can use to organize your thoughts and or your students' thoughts. So without further ado, let's get started. So why should we be picking music together anyway? Well, one of the reasons you might want to do this process with your students is it's going to increase motivation. Because they're going to feel like their autonomy, their sense of self-determination is improved. They feel like what they say matters, that they've had a say in the process. And that also builds up buy-in. They go, oh, we picked this music, I better practice it and learn it because I was part of that decision. You also tend to pick music that's students like. Not every student is going to like every piece, but you can find music that most of the students like because you're actually consulting them. Additionally, they get a shared understanding of the challenges that the ensemble faces, whether there's challenges in instrumentation, a lack of voices, a lack of fundamentals. They start to understand all of that because that's part of the conversation. And then you additionally start to figure out the group dynamics as students advocate, and we have to come to compromises because, again, we probably won't find a piece that everybody is going to like, but maybe we can find a set of pieces that everybody likes at least one of those pieces. We also get this sense of respect. The students feel respected because they get to be part of the decision making, and all of that bodes very well for your ensemble. So there's some things you should probably discuss before you even start looking at music, and there's a handout to lead this discussion that you can either use for yourself for reflection or with your students. You can find this handout at musicalwonders.org. So the first thing that's really important in picking music is to know why we're looking for a piece of music. Do we have specific learning goals, such as specific skills we're working on or exposure to new concepts? Do we have performance needs, like maybe there's a concert theme, or performance conditions like being outdoors, an audience expectation, or even adjudication concerns, like we need to pick from a specific list or there's an expectation about what type of music we play? And then also, are we just picking a piece for fun? Just engagement for the students, for the audience, either one. The purpose of why we're needing to pick a piece of music is probably the first thing that we need to think about. And so it's really good to define what our goal of picking a piece of music is before we do anything else. The next thing that especially students need to know is where they can look for and listen to arrangements for ensembles. So one example is looking at Hal Leonard and J.W. Pepper and places like that, the retailers and the publishers of music. All of them have websites with music that students can listen to. A lot of times you may be needing to pick from a state music list. A lot of people also have music libraries at their school that they can actually look for and find what arrangements they have. Are we just going to search the internet? Can we gather recommendations from other students, from friends that have been in different ensembles, from other directors? And then finally, do we have a favorite composer and we just want to go directly to their website? All of these places are great places to look for music, and just the act of the students going to these places and listening to different arrangements has so many benefits for buy-in, engagement, and just exposure to what their ensemble can do. We also need to talk about instrumentation and fit. So students may not really understand what type of ensemble they're in. A lot of times they know they're in a band or an orchestra or a choir, but they don't know if they're in a string orchestra and a full orchestra, and that's two different things. Or that a concert band versus a jazz band versus a wind ensemble or a marching band, all of those are different instrumentations. The students need to know what kind they are to search for music. Same thing with what's our specific choir arrangement that we're looking for as far as voicing. So have that discussion with the students. Super powerful to do, but a lot of times they won't actually know that or have picked up on it. Then we have to have an honest conversation about ensemble strengths and challenges. So, where are our potential soloists? What are the more experienced sections that are ready to be featured? Where do we have advanced fundamentals? Is there something our band does really well or our choir does really well that we want to feature and show off a particular style or technique? And then same thing with challenges. What are some challenges that we need to be aware of? Are we missing instrumentation that we're going to need to adapt for? Are there areas that we need to improve in order to be able to play and sound good on a particular type of music? And having this honest conversation in a way that's very strength-based and focused on growth is really, really powerful for setting your goals in general, not just for a particular piece. But then knowing these things is going to affect the way we listen to pieces, what parts we're listening for and how we think about how we might need to adapt a piece for our ensemble. One of the things that's really important to share with students is how difficulty in music works. A lot of students will inherently think that the more difficult a piece of music is, the better it is. And that's a dangerous trap for all of us, because difficulty and quality of music are not the same thing. A piece of music could be very difficult to play and actually not a very good piece of music. It could be a piece of music that's very easy to play that actually has a ton of musical value. So difficulty and quality are not the same thing. What I equate difficulty to is fit. The better fit the music is for the ensemble, the less difficult that they will find it to be. And so one piece may be very difficult for one ensemble and very easy for another ensemble. Same thing with if we have instrumentation issues. Some music will sound very good even though we're missing a certain instrument. Whereas if I play a different piece of music and I'm missing an instrument, it may make the music nearly impossible to make sound good. So it really is about fit. And difficulty is also equal to the timeline. The more difficult a piece of music is, the longer it's going to take us to prepare. And so if I have a concert that's happening in a week and we need an additional piece, I will pick something much easier than if I expect to be interacting with a piece of music for several months. And so really, really valuable here to get students thinking of difficulty not as about, if you're a better player, you play really hard music or something like that, but more about finding music that functionally fits the ensemble and works within the timeline that we have to prepare before a performance. So after you've written all of this information down, now it's time to actually go look for music with these considerations. So you have your students look in the recommended locations, the websites, whatever, and listen to a recording of the music. It's so valuable. And if your students are struggling to do this on their own, do it together in class. Look at the music and just play some music for them. Listening is such a huge part of music education anyway. Look at the score if possible to confirm it. Encourage the students on these publisher websites to click on the score and find their part and see what it looks like to them. See if they think they would be able to play it and how long it might take them to get it ready. Are there things they see that they've never seen before? And then, if possible, if you have access to it, go ahead and sight read it before you decide if you're really going to do anything with it. I know that's a luxury, and a lot of times, we're not going to just buy a bunch of pieces of music just to see if they're a good fit. But if it happens to be that you have access to it, go ahead and sight read it. And at this point, you're going to want to make some notes on how you feel about the piece now that you've engaged with a specific piece. And when you do that, you can use our literature evaluation guide, which asks you and or your students a lot of information about the piece of music you're looking at in order for you to kind of make a decision. This isn't one of those things where, if you have students help you pick music, that you never pick music without the students or that the students pick all of the music. It really doesn't have to be that kind of thing. But if you engage them in this process on at least some of the music that you play, I think you'll see huge benefits from it. It's really, really valuable. And just going through this process teaches the students so much about what it means to be an ensemble and to choose music together that I guarantee you that this will be worth your time. So thank you so much. All of these resources are at musicalwonders.org. And good luck. If this works for you and you're having fun with it, let us know. And if there's something about this that you think could be better, let us know that too.